How you doing today? Dudz right here, and we're going to talk a little bit about Division Two, the beta. I actually was had the privilege of playing it. I was invited to the private beta, and I played it a little bit. I did not pre-purchase the game. A few people were given private beta access. Maybe I don't know why I was chosen. Maybe because I said nice things about Rainbow Six. I don't know. Uh, but I'm appreciative for the experience. And I've actually said this in another video, but I said, this is kind of, there should be more betas. That said, um, I have some thoughts and observations about the game, and I thought I'd share them with you here. I mean, why not? Now, the first thing you may notice is that I did not necessarily spend a whole lot of time with the game. As far as I only have about 2.5 hours into the game. That's probably a lot less than some people. I'm sure when this thing opened up, I think it was the 7th they opened it up. I'm sure there's people that probably have 40 hours into this by now playing this. Me, 2.5 was enough. Here's the thing. I'm not somebody who ever played Division 1. I'm not somebody who really played a lot of looter shooters. Well, that's not true. I've played a lot of Borderlands, which is in essence a looter shooter. I guess maybe not one that was so, I don't know, serious about itself. I don't know. But regardless, there were things that were very impressive to me about it. The environment, very immersive. Um, the the attention to detail, the way the game flows, the kind of the free world aspect of it, the kind of chart your own path, but you're still kind of guided a certain direction. There is a right and a wrong way to do things, but it's not necessarily just one right and one wrong way. So it leaves you with a lot of options, a lot of possibilities to play it the way you want to play it. If you want to be somebody like every time I do a looter shooter, and I guess I have done looter shooters because I've done every Borderlands game um, for hundreds of hours. I'm one who I check every crate, I look around every crevice, and part of that is it adds to it because it adds to the environment. It's like finding that little hidden gem, that little gift that got stuck behind some strange place, and you know. So I kind of go for that, and sometimes you get some nice stuff, and that was very much evident here when I was playing the beta. The one thing I say is, it's definitely an Ubisoft game. There was a feeling, a very much a feel of Rainbow Six. The way the damage mechanics work, the way the game kind of flows, the way you target things, it's just there's a feel to it. You know how it's like if you play a Battlefield game, Battlefield games have a certain feel. Call of Duty has a certain feel. They can be in the same genre, but they have a certain feel. Different studios put their mark on it. You know, that's why a lot of stuff from Respawn looks curiously like Call of Duty. Well, because Respawn was most of Infinity Ward, which did all the early Call of Duty games, the good ones, before they started going into outer space and all this other weird stuff. Anyway, what I like about this game is it gets you involved. There is a backstory, and you're kind of seeing some of that here, that you could kind of get in touch with. I could see this being a long-term thing. This is an environment, much like EA wants Anthem to kind of be a long-term investment, something that keeps growing, that you keep investing in, keep looking at. I can definitely see the Division 2 being that, and much like the original Division was. Um, I don't know what the future is as far as loot boxes in this thing, or how they would do that, if it's going to be better weapons or just skins or stuff like that. I really don't see it mattering that much, though, in the context of this game. I don't think anybody cares how good their gun looks. I think they care if it can fire. And that in itself kind of opens it up, because of the nature of the game, kind of opens it up to some dangerous precedents, if you think about it. If it's more important that the gun function than the gun be pretty, well, then you're kind of straying into not only have you paid 60 bucks for a game, but you've also got pay to win, especially if you get anything like multiplayer of that. Now, I only did the single player campaigns. I was not privy to any of the multiplayer to get that far. I did really didn't get that far. Here's the thing, and I apologize. This game was silky smooth. I ran it on my old Xeon X5660, 6 cores, 12 threads, with the 18 gig of RAM in the box, and a GTX 970 4 gig, and it ran very well. But the stutters on the recording and that kind of thing was mainly the I believe the hits that OBS was putting on it. I think this is a very CPU intensive game. Because I didn't really see any frame drops or anything like that, noticing that playing the game, I have a feeling it's the CPU. Even though I was using the NVIDIA encoder, I think that it can be very taxing on your game's resources. So I wouldn't try to do anything else like stream it or that. Although I did. In fact, that's what the two videos I was streaming. But I have a relatively low bit rate that I can use because of my internet connection. That's why things look a little chunky here. But the video was actually captured at 48 frames per second, 720p, using a 1400 bit rate upstream for this game. So that's why it looks a little crappy. But so that there's the specifics of that. So if you see it kind of jittery jumping frames, that's not how the game ran. It ran silky smooth. Absolutely silky smooth. I just don't. The local copies were even jittery on like this too, though. So that tells me it was something to do with OBS and the overhead. So be mindful of that. And it's a huge environment. There's so much to look at and so much to see. 2 hours. I sat down with this the first time, 2 hours, and they were gone. I didn't know where they went. You know. Just beautifully rendered, interact with things, you figure out things, how to do things. You don't get a lot of direction up front. It's like a lot of games, you kind of get thrown in, thrown to the deep end of the pool, and you sink or swim. So it would have been nice to have a manual or something. Speaking of that, and I'm sure somewhere there's a PDF or something like that, but there was no tutorial or anything like that. My thing is, and this is my problem with games like this, is trying to replicate the world too perfectly and take into account anything that might happen, which leads to huge, a dictionary's worth of keyboard commands, especially on PC. Now, I know you could probably, if you're trying to play this on, Xbox or PlayStation, I believe there's versions of it coming out. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. I'm a PC gamer. I don't keep up that much with the consoles. And no, it's not because I'm one of those PC master race people. It's just it's what I use. So, and I don't want to steer you wrong. But in any case, there's a lot of commands to do a lot of things. And if you don't know the commands, you get screwed up. And you might see that a couple of times here as we're going along in the game. But one of the things that was kind of disturbing or what bugged me was it seemed the controls were a little clunky when you'd go in and out of, I figured out the cover system, but coming in and out of cover, sometimes it would get stuck. And the game wasn't slow or anything like that. It was smooth. There was like a delayed reaction, or sometimes it would get stuck in an area and you couldn't do anything. And it could get really annoying after a while. So, I don't know if I'm really saying anything there, but I can also write off a lot of that to being unfamiliar with the game, unfamiliar with the mechanics. I mean, a lot of it, if you've played Rainbow Six, you've got about half of what you need to play this game. One thing that was kind of annoying, though, it seemed like the hitboxes were really small. And the AI was a little overly aggressive, especially for somebody just starting the game. I died a lot. Of course, everybody's a noob once, but it just seems a little excessive. Um, when I was playing, I noticed that a lot of times I was getting shot by, I didn't know where I was getting shot from. I couldn't see, you know, I didn't know so who do I shoot at? To make up for that, you see things like I just shot a gas can there and it blew up and people were on fire and that kind of thing, and that's good. Good the bad guys are not doing well, but I think that kind of makes up for it, but the hitboxes are a little too small. See, in that case, I shot that. I was literally looking for, what do they call those rounds? Um, it's like target rounds. I was really literally looking for the firing, where the fire was coming from, the tracer rounds, to try to figure out where do I shoot, because I could not see. Things were happening here. See, I didn't understand what was happening here in the when I was playing. I didn't have any idea. I kind of had a vague idea of the health bar, but I didn't know, you know, if you went into the green cloud, there was a different effect. Why, when things would start getting foggy, I don't know. I was looking at my health bar, and it's like it didn't seem like it was abnormally low or anything. So there's a lot of things that just weren't. I guess it was assuming prior knowledge that I didn't have. I don't know. So I mean, that's one little minor gripe. I mean, but then again, it's a beta. It's not meant to be a tutorial. I don't know if they'll include one in the full game, but you know, if someone's coming at it new, like me, it would definitely be kind of a learning curve. Um, Strange key combinations too, like to jump walls. I don't know. I'm always used to a space bar being a jump key, and basically using the E key to use something. Here, their default use key is F, and to jump is Control, which is weird to me. Kind of, I don't know. I could have reset them, but I was like, that's really not too standard. But I mean, it's not really a gripe. It's just like I said, it's just something that made it a little bit of a strange experience for me. But I mean, that's why we play betas, to find out. And one thing I will notice, and I've said this before, um, I actually went on and did a tweet out about it on the Division 2 Twitter account, because people are complaining about not being able to get into servers and, that kind of stuff. And it's like, guys, it's a beta. You're lucky you have access at all. The game isn't supposed to launch till March 15th. So if you're in this beta, which is the private beta, by the way, which means either you bought the game and they gave you access, or they just said, hey, come on in and try our game, which I'm like I said, again, I'm very grateful for. I appreciate them giving me that opportunity, because it's a nice kind of try before you buy thing, and it lets me kind of see what's going on, gives me a little inside info here. I also appreciate the fact that they didn't put an NDA on this, that they're allowing people to stream it and show it, because there's lots of videos, not just mine, and I checked. I made sure before I did anything. So hats off to them, unlike EA, who hides everything. At least they've got that going for them. They want people to show off their game and do this stuff. It's good advertising. So that little bit of gaming politics aside, now we're done with that. Get off that soapbox. But okay, impressions about the game. Though, like I said, it's gorgeous. It's a really gorgeous game. In fact, let me see if I can get some. There was actually some moments in there that were kind of poignant. Actually, a little bit of tug at the heartstrings. Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too sensitive, but okay, right here, this scene. Okay, in the middle of a ruin, and there's a deer. And the deer actually acts like a deer would act. It's really kind of funny. It just kind of looks at you. It kind of reminds me, I don't know, you're probably a little too young to know this, but it reminds me of the movie The Deer Hunter. It's just kind of, there's an emotive kind of feeling to it. And you can see this deer is terrified. I mean, everything that's gone on, literally deer in the headlights look. And it just kind of, I mean, it seems something small, but it's little details like that that add to the immersion, kind of make you feel what you're supposed to be feeling in the environment, feel the kind of hopelessness of it and the kind of chaos of it. aside from just trash strewn on the floor or something like that. It's just very poignant. And I appreciate little details like that. So one thing I was noticing too, I was looking at this. I'm assuming in the full game that because I ran into places like this, garages and doors closed and things that didn't seem to go anywhere. I'm sure those will be opened up in the full game. That's probably going to other areas that are blocked off. Because I can't imagine a place like this being just a hallway. That seems pointless. Um, you know, but it's too detailed to just be a hallway. You know, to go that deep into it. But no. But I guess let me go. Let me say this. Let me say this about the game. I'm on the fence as to whether I personally would buy it. If you're a Division fan, I'm sure you've already did the pre-order. You know, I didn't go into the multiplayer or anything of that because I was trying to get a feel for the game itself. I was trying to see what's its context, what's its foundation. You know, and I like the premise. The context is good. They keep you in that context, but it's just kind of a steep learning curve. There's a lot to know, a lot to see, a lot of commands on that keyboard to keep track of, and but eventually, I got the hang of it, what was going on there. Let's see if I can get to one of the battle modes. Stuff like AI in that. Sometimes the AI is too smart, and sometimes the AI is dumb as a brick. Like, well, this is a perfect right here. I literally walked right up to him. You see that before he did anything, before anybody did anything. So it was just. But see, look at this. These hit boxes are ridiculously small. Look at that. I just about unloading a clip in this guy, and he wasn't going down. It's like. Look at that. Yeah, that's just, I don't know. The hit boxes need to be a little bigger, I think. Um, but but it was okay. I mean, for where I was in the game and what I knew in the game. This was an acceptable level of difficulty. Why I stopped playing? Okay, why I quit at 2.5 hours? Because I got to a certain point in the game where everything just kind of ramped up exponentially. I spent almost close to 15 minutes trying to get through this one section, this one battle area that was the main story. I was supposed to be there. I didn't go anywhere I wasn't supposed to go. And all of a sudden it became real grindy. I don't mind difficulty, but grindy when I'm only on the second level, and when I'm trying to just play through the story, no, that don't work for me. That's not something I enjoy. There's too much here. There's too much content, too much value, too much atmosphere here to make the game too grindy. Now, some people I know are going to disagree and say, oh, it wasn't like that at all. You just didn't know what you're doing. You're right. I didn't know what I was doing. I was completely new to the game, and I ran headlong into something I didn't know how to deal with or what the tactics, because all the tactics I'd figured out to that point weren't working anymore. And about the AI and that, sightlines and that, I was getting shot, and I couldn't see where I was getting shot from. There was no indication. Somebody might pop up, but they didn't stay there. One thing that was very good but also very bad, depending on it. Now, if you've got full surround sound, if you've got a high-end gaming rig, something like that, and maybe multiple monitors or a really huge monitor, you get in a firefight, these guys will come around and behind you, which is, like real life people would do that too. They're not always going to stay in their predetermined area. But the problem is, if you don't have a setup that takes advantage of that, spatial sound, that kind of thing, you're gonna die a lot, and you're not gonna know where it's coming from because either you can't see it, you can't hear it, something's gone wrong, and you don't know it. I think that was a big problem I was having at the point where I stopped, and that's where I said, no, this isn't gonna work. That's the other thing. I was having issues. I wasn't hearing everything. The sound wasn't quite mixed right. And again, this is the caveat. It's a beta game, okay? I mean, it's not finished, but it's probably pretty close, pretty complete. But it got to the point where I got enough of a feel for it that I just didn't want to go any further with it. It was like I knew I got what I needed to get out of it, and it's just I didn't want to invest any more time because it just didn't feel like it was really going to pay off. Um, Let me show you here too. I was looking. One of the things I was looking at. Let me get back to the White House here, where you start out. Some of the basically the crafting kind of stuff. The crafting, the upgrades, weapon upgrades, stuff like that, equipment, armor, guns, that kind of thing. Okay, pretty easy to figure out, and you find stuff as you go out. You find stuff, and you can upgrade stuff. I'm betting this is where we're going to see the loot boxes. Upgrading this stuff. I got a feeling it's going to be, you can work for it or you can buy it. So okay. Hopefully not too much though, because they're charging for this game. This isn't free to play. This isn't Apex Legends. I'm trying to figure out how to use some of the stuff. Like I never did figure out how to use the assault turret. That's the thing. I was primarily worrying about upgrading my weapons, my guns, my armor, that kind of stuff, knee pads, elbow pads, things like that. But I never figured out stuff like the turret or that. I maybe if I would have had more time to deal with it, but that's on me. But then again, like I said, I was just not. I just really wasn't feeling it for me as a player. Now, if you're a Division player or you're somebody who likes loot and shoots, this is probably the best of the bunch currently available because it's immersive, it's beautiful. I am very much tempted, but I think it's kind of going to be a wait and see kind of thing. But I don't know. And I'm freestyling this, guys. I didn't script this. I just kind of did. So if you're hearing lots of ands and buts and that kind of stuff, it's because I'm just kind of relaying what I saw and what I was feeling about it. But like just there. This is the theater residential district here that you helped to liberate. Well, not really liberate, to secure, I should say. This is a game you're going to play, and it's probably you're not going to play many others. It's going to require investment. I can see that, and I'm sure the quirks about it will be worked out, and people will know. You'll know if you play it long enough. It'll be muscle memory to do all this stuff. For me, it was kind of clunky. There was some of the controls, all the controls, I was having issues with the way they were mapped. And I didn't change anything because I wanted to get the experience that the developer was trying to, impress upon me. But I don't know. I really don't know. It's not something I'll tell you. It's not something I'm personally going to go out and buy, but who knows what's going to be like in 6 months or something like that. Who knows? Let's see how well this game does. I don't know how well the pre-orders went for this game. I'm kind of wondering if one of the reasons they opened up the private beta to people who didn't pre-order was because they didn't have enough people pre-ordering the game. Could be, but it does look like a labor of love, though. And it's definitely, if you've done anything with Rainbow Six, you'll definitely be familiar with a lot of the controls and the combat scenarios, that kind of thing. So, but in any case, I've been going on for like 25 minutes now. That's what I thought of it. That was my impressions. I want to thank you for listening to me drone on and on about it. And I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely say if you're somebody who's a Division devotee, I would definitely say you're probably going to be picking this up if you haven't already. So that's about it, folks. Thanks so much. I appreciate you stopping by. Division 2, it's out March 15th. It's about $60. We'll be seeing you.